Patrick and Dereck, I'm going to start with you, and Yodit, I'm going to sort of take a kind of a broader perspective from yourself afterwards. Before we dive into some of the practicalities we're facing now and in the future, I just kind of want you to cast your mind back across the last year, which might not be the most pleasant of experiences for you, but just to cast your mind back when it was clear that things were moving very quickly and we had to make some very quick decisions. What were the sort of principal challenges? I mean, we could all guess what the considerations are. They'll be around safety, they'll be around about particularly from a building point of view as well. They'll be making sure that some of the buildings have got the right services in place for it, because it's just as hard to manage an empty building as it is a full one sometimes. But you both had very different challenges. So Dereck, you'll be looking at it on a global level at different phases of the pandemic in different parts of the world, and Patrick, you've got to think about office and retail. So I'm just really interested about some of those challenges that perhaps feel a little bit unique to your roles as opposed to the general ones that we've talked about. So maybe Dereck, if you could just start off about that sort of that initial pandemic kind of impact on the organization, what your focus was.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I'm responsible for around 30 offices globally. So our offices span across the US, Asia Pac, EMEA, and what we saw with the pandemic was that in different locations, people or governments were responding differently as well. So the levels of lockdown were different, were stricter, especially for my colleagues in Southeast Asia. So as an organization, what we actually decided to do was we just put our people first, the well-being of our people first, the safety of our people first. And we also kind of thought globally, but acted locally. So we created a framework that said, okay, we know, people are reacting differently. However, organizationally, this is what's important. So organizationally, it's important for you guys to be safe. It's important for you guys to, to also contribute to the community by not spreading the, the virus within the community. So we're not going to make you go to, to offices and things like that. And what that resulted in was we're asking questions such as, the tasks that you would normally do in the office, can you do them remotely? Can you do them at home? And what can we do from a facilities and workplace perspective to help support those tasks? So already, behind the scenes, I would say there's some questions that weren't being necessarily asked literally, but at the back of our minds, we're thinking, well, do people really need to be in the office? And do people, so when my colleagues, a country manager would say, yep, I would like to open offices because I have to meet my clients and things like that, we'd say, well, do you really have to meet them face to face? In terms of the things you need, the physical assets you need to maybe print or do all those things, can we not provide you those things at home? If we couldn't, can we at least provide limited access or get them couriered to you? So there were different types of conversations that were happening depending on how locally people were dealing with the pandemic. And another thing to also bear in mind is that especially in that part of the world, some of our younger staff, they lived in multi-generational households. So for them, they had the double whammy of obviously trying to be productive and everything else, but at the same time, they were also worried about the impact on their grandparents, the impact on their parents. So as an organization, as I said, because we're taking a people first perspective, we're also saying, okay, what can we do to actually help you navigate those those challenges?